The Benjamin Dixon Show is only possible with listener support. Go to www.thebenjamindixonshow.com to register for our blog and join the Progressive Army.
Welcome to the Benjamin Dixon Show. I am your host, Benjamin Dixon. Today is Friday, Valentine's Day. Hope you have somebody to love and somebody loving you back the same way that you're loving them. Make sure that thing is reciprocal. Reciprocal. Did I say that right? It's early in the morning, and I'm not quite sure if my brain is on yet for anything else other than politics. It's on for politics, I'll tell you that much. There's a Democratic super PAC, Women's Vote, and they are preparing a campaign ad next week to attack Bernie Sanders, calling Bernie and Trump the same person. The ad fools the viewer at the top into believing that we are talking about Trump. The truth that is revealed is that we are talking about Sanders. Okay. They're coming out. They're pulling out all stops. And when I say they, I mean the establishment players who want to maintain their position in this establishment. I was going to say in this democracy, but in the control of this democracy, Washington, D.C. elites. They want more than anything else to maintain their position and not have it challenged by the incoming revolution. And to be sure, this revolution is not one that is radical. It is rather mundane, if you would ask some people further to the left than me. It's simply a revolution to say, let's take care of everyone, especially since we have so much filthy wealth running around this country that we can end poverty with just a few billions from just a small percentage of what our top 1% is worth, especially the top 0.1%. And this organization, for whatever they believe, they are trying to protect their position in the establishment, or they're trying to do their best to shore up support for someone else by attacking Bernie Sanders. Whoever that someone else is remains to be seen. Elise Hogue, she is the president of NARAL. And this is what she had to say about this. She said, I run a group dedicated to abortion rights. Bernie Sanders has a 100% voting record and just said that the Democratic Party must be 100% pro-choice. Trump wants to punish women who have abortions and is hell-bent on gutting Roe versus Wade. There is no comparison, and none of them should be made on air or off. This is in response to what this super PAC is getting ready to run next week. And what's interesting is it is Amy Klobuchar. It is Amy Klobuchar who has come out just the other day on the 11th, or was it the 10th? It was just a few days ago, saying that we need to build a big tent for anti-abortion Democrats. Now, the pro-life, pro-choice debate is a thing, and not everyone is going to agree with it. But if we're going to talk about someone, see, the disingenuousness of the attacks, see, that's what makes me fight even harder. That's what makes me fight more ruthlessly. No mercy, because you're not going to take disingenuous attacks against Bernie Sanders and expect us to be kind to you. And the thing about it is all we have to do is tell the goddamn truth about you, because the truth about Amy Klobuchar is that she is the one who wants to include pro-life Democrats in the party. And we're not talking about, here's the difference. We're not talking about voters. We're not talking about the constituents, the people who have the right, obviously, to believe whatever the hell you want to believe. That's your prerogative. There are a lot of pro-life people who support the Democratic Party because there's so many other terrible things about the Republican Party that they would never, ever, ever consider going there. Right? But when we're talking about elected officials who have the ability to pass legislation or to confirm judges to the bench that could affect the decisions about a woman's right to choose, then we can't afford to say, let's make the tent big enough for pro-life Democrats. Somebody has to hold the line, and it has to be the Democratic Party. If it's not the Democratic Party, then who? So Amy Klobuchar is getting away with this while now they're trying to attack Bernie Sanders and compare him to Donald Trump, this this woman's rights organization. And as far as duplicitous attacks, as far as dishonest attacks, this week we've seen one of the worst coming from the 60,000 plus member union in Nevada, attacking Bernie Sanders through his supporters. The Culinary Local 226, Nevada's largest union, sent out a flyer attacking Medicare for All by name directly. And we do know that by attacking Medicare for All by name directly, they're actually attacking Bernie Sanders. And their flyer suggested, we covered this a little bit, but I want to just show you how this plays out, how the game is played, right? So they sent out the flyer. The flyer attacks Medicare for All, saying that it would be bad for the union and it would make it harder to defeat Donald Trump. And they also said that it would take away their private insurance. Okay. Now, as we discussed yesterday, the head of that union is connected with the Center for American Progress. The leader over there is Neera Tanden, and the leader of the union has done a similar attack like this back in 2016. So here's how this works. This is the game that's regularly played. I'll diagnose it and then we'll try to find a solution for it. The game that's played is that it is the leadership of these organizations. The leadership of these organizations are just as entrenched in power as anything else. If you ask the rank and file members of Culinary Local 226 or 226, if you ask them, they probably all support Bernie Sanders. Some of them support Elizabeth Warren, right? But it's the leadership of these organizations. It doesn't matter if the organization is historically aligned with leftist movements, unions, right? It doesn't matter what their original intent was. Once organizations get so large and their leadership becomes so enriched, and then the leadership becomes so entrenched in the establishment, then they begin to have interests that do not align with the interests of the people who are in the rank and file. This is a systemic problem that happens over and over and again. It's repeated throughout history, throughout time, and probably throughout space. But we're not talking about that this morning. So here you have the leader of 226 of the Culinary Union, Gioconda Aguela Klein, who is connected to the Center for American Progress. Center for American Progress headed up by Neera Tanden. Neera Tanden is one of the most entrenched power players from the Clinton regime. And she has nothing but a deeply vested interest. Above all else, Neera Tanden has a vested interest to stop Bernie Sanders, because Bernie Sanders coming to Washington, D.C. as the president of the United States is a direct threat to her money supply. It's a direct threat to her being able to use the label progressive to fool everyone into donating to her organization or clicking on their links because it says Center for American Progress when they're anything but progressive. So again, the game is the leadership of these organizations most of the time have been entrenched, enriched, and they go against what the rank and file members of these organizations want. Matter of fact, the Culinary Union did not even endorse anyone because who the leadership probably wanted to endorse would have ripped the union apart. Now, I keep saying, here's the game. That's part one of the game. You got to understand that first. Just because they say they're a union doesn't mean that they're going to be acting in the best interest of all the people who make up that union. Step two, you do some propaganda. You pass out these flyers. The flyers which say Medicare for All is going to hurt our chances for beating Donald Trump, is going to hurt their private insurance. Oh, it's not just going to hurt your private insurance, because who actually loves their insurance? Who is so committed to their insurance provider that they don't want to save money? The people who have connections to the insurance companies. The people who get bonuses, the people who get kickbacks, the people who get just the perks. Sometimes it's just something simple as an invitation to a big event where all the best insurance providers are there and all of the richest people, all the CEOs are there, and the luxury and the limelight and the flashing cameras and the paparazzi. Sometimes it's not actually money. Sometimes these leaders are bought by the being in the presence of opulence. Okay? This is how it works. So the leadership, I'm back at this point again. The leadership of these organizations, Gioconda, Aguila, Klein, just because they're leading a union doesn't mean that they have union principles. So they put out this flyer and they're saying that Bernie Sanders is going to be bad for private insurance companies. He is. But that's not going to be bad for the people, all of the people across the United States of America. It's actually going to be good because, pray tell me why it is that some private insurance company and investors and stockholders can make obscene profits off of people dying and fighting cancer. Why is that okay? So I digress. So the move was to put this flyer out. The flyer got leaked by the Nevada Independent and got online on Twitter. And of course, people who saw the disingenuousness of the attacks on Twitter took them to task. Oh, no, the Bernie bros. They're so mean. I mean, we're dealing with some soft snowflakes. You all are not ready to fight Donald Trump. You think this is what they really want, right? Obviously, it's planned. It's a strategy that they do all the time. Let's say something ridiculous. But here's a problem. It's not a ridiculous argument that can be ignored. The things that they are saying are lies, propaganda, half-truths in order to protect the establishment. The things that Jason Johnson says on most of the things that are said on MSNBC. Distortions, half-truths, outright propaganda to protect the establishment. To protect the establishment from what? From what? Well, two things. Ever having to pay anything more in taxes in order for us to benefit the working class. And number two, to protect their position in the establishment because that's how they make their money. And so this is the routine, right? The way they protect it, their last line of defense is to say, oh no, the Bernie bros, you're just so mean. You attacked us on Twitter. And by attack, they mean we told the truth about them on Twitter. It's a goddamn shame when you have to attack us with lies and all we have to do is tell the truth about you.
Go to www.patreon.com/the BPD show and support the Benjamin Dixon Show.
Let's bop. It's our time. This is our time, our favorite time of the show, the patron party. Very special welcome to Jeanette Faye. Thank you so much for becoming a patron. Brittany Coleman, welcome aboard. Ralph Cook, thank you. Brendan Hunt, my appreciation. Lucas, Nate Bear, Mark Blaho, Julian Williams, Kate Sabas, Gunner. Wow, you guys have some amazing last names. Andrew, Some Guy 84, welcome aboard. Elijah Bankston, thank you for becoming a patron. Claire Brennan, Dylan Berg, Don McDonald, Gabriel Hernandez, Regina Patterson, Uche, thank you for becoming a patron. Jason Stoll, Corey, thank you so much for becoming a patron. Francis Mahoney, Brian Stevens, thank you all for becoming a patron. And there are so many more that I just need the weekend and we're going to gather all the names and kind of organize it and figure out who we left out. But thanks to everyone who is supporting the show and making this possible. You too can become a part of this prestigious and prodigious patron family by going to www.patreon.com/the BPD show and supporting today. Okay, let's jump right back into this because there's a lot of news. I just want to put this a fine point on the last thing that we were talking about. These unions that are necessary, they're needed, that have and can have a significant impact in our society. They're oftentimes led by people who are entrenched in power. They are enriched by the union. They are entrenched in power. And so they have a vested interest to push back against anyone who's going to shake up the system whatsoever. Where I ended on this in the last segment was that the game that was played was a flyer with half-truth and lies and distortions against Bernie Sanders was distributed through the union, even though the union, the culinary local, did not endorse anyone. They passed out this flyer, which was an attack on Bernie Sanders. It got online on Twitter. The Twitter squad found it. and the Twitter squad called them out for it. But oh my God, don't call me out. Don't say the truth about me. You're such a mean Bernie bro. And then the narrative around the country becomes, oh no, these evil Bernie bros, they're so evil. They're so rude. They're so mean. They're so misogynistic because they told the truth about someone. They told the truth about the leader, calling her out and showing her ties to near attendant in the Center for American Progress, who unquestionably is standing in firm opposition against Bernie Sanders as I stand against Bloomberg. Right? But calling out that connection is sexism. Everything is sexism and racism to you, mama. And you know what the attack has to be? Here's our response to them. This is what we say going forward, because they're going to always try to do that swift boating to us. And that's fine. That's the game. Here's the thing. You're weak, spineless, soft, totally incapable of handling what's coming in November. Like, how are these people? How are these people going to be able to handle Donald Trump when they can't handle someone telling the truth about them? What are you going to do when people are telling lies about you? And see, we understand the game. The game is to feign victimhood. Oh, it's so difficult. The Bernie bros just make it so hard online. What are we supposed to do when all of them are organized online and they constantly call out our lies? And it has worked so far, right? That's the narrative. Here's how we flip the narrative. I've already said it. I'm going to say it again. Who do you want fighting for you? Someone who's going to cry about a tweet, or people who will get in the goddamn streets and fight? I'm sorry, but in 2020, when we have Nazis marching in the literal streets, we don't need people trying to lead this party who are going to cry over tweets. Tweet that out. That's actually a good damn line. Matter of fact, I'm going to tweet that shit out myself right now. Okay, I actually took some time to craft that and tweet that. But listen, I mean, that's the talking point. If you can't handle a Twitter feud, we cannot trust that you would take it to the streets if Donald Trump pulls something. We can't trust that if Donald Trump says that he's not leaving office, that the people who can't handle a mean tweet from a Bernie bro would take that shit to the streets and lay their bodies on the line for what we believe in. See, these are the people who are entrenched in the establishment, who are using civility as a way of insulating themselves from criticism, legitimate criticism. They are generally the type of people who become complicit with fascist regimes. Literally, I'm not talking figuratively. I'm talking about through history. Those are the people who become complicit with fascism because they are far more interested in protecting their comfortableness than they are fighting for their beliefs, because at the end of the day, their belief is all about how comfortable they are. That's their primary belief. So for everyone who's going around here whining, do you think this fight against against Donald Trump is going to be an easy fight? And who do you want leading the charge? People who will really get out in the streets and rumble if they have to, or somebody on Twitter who's complaining about this tweet from the Bernie bros? It's just so mean. It's so mean that they told the truth about us. It's so mean that the Bernie bros told the truth about this leader of the union who's in bed with Center for American Progress. It's so terrible. We can't handle it. Oh my God, everybody apologize. I'm sorry. I don't need some, I'm going to use some old jargon here. Lily-livered, spineless, yellow belly, jellyback. I don't need any cowards leading the charge in the fight of our generation. No, give me some Roughnecks. Bernie's Roughnecks. Progressive army of roughnecks that will get out in the streets and fight the powers that be. We don't need, Okay, that was the last segment. I'm just reading my tweet again. The tweet's kind of fire, but the truth of it is the truth. We don't need cowards that can't handle a mean tweet. Bunch of soft, I'm sorry, bunch of crybabies. Let me tweet that. I got to stay off Twitter. When I do my show, I usually stay off of Twitter when I do my show, because whenever I'm on Twitter at the same time, I'm like, I said something good in the show. Now I got to tweet that shit. Progressive Army, baby! Progressive Army! Yo, get hype! I'm so serious. I'm so serious. Bernie's Progressive Army. Like, there's nobody else. There is nobody else who is up to the task of taking on Donald Trump and his MAGA Legion. Nobody. I'm sorry. I gotta call a spade a spade. Everything it is what it is. We're past time. Because, okay, check this out. Here's why I'm going to do what I'm about to do. Because Elizabeth Warren, Amy Klobuchar, and Pete Buttigieg all decided to latch on to this disingenuous baby whining bullshit from Culinary Local, from the union, about, we need to not be disruptive and no. You are decidedly not ready to take on Donald Trump. You as the leaders, and then all of your supporters who are entrenched in the system, not all of your supporters. I'm talking about those supporters who are entrenched in the system and are calling for civility. Man, give me some of these sisters out here who will put their bodies on the line in the streets, lock it down, shut that shit down. Give me some of these folks from, like, in my mind, I keep going back to noon in Georgia when Nazis came down here. Who did I see in the streets putting their body on the line? DSA, Democratic Socialists of America. You think back, oh my God, think back to Charlottesville. Heather Heyer was a member of DSA. But I remember the Friday night before everything jumped off, it was nothing but Nazis. And who did you see coming through? Who did you see coming through with their flag? Democratic Socialists of America. The reinforcements came in. I'm telling you, this fight cannot be won by centrists who need civility to maintain their comfortableness in the establishment. They want to go to brunch. Are we trying to get out in these streets and shut this shit down, and y'all want to go to brunch? Excuse my language. I know I got a lot. I'm sorry. I know there's quite a few white people in the audience. Don't use that word, because then we have to turn our energy on you. It's my show. This is my safe space. But I'm serious. Y'all, they're trying to go to brunch. We're trying to take out white supremacy and fascism. Okay. Let me settle down. It's Valentine's Day. Let me be sweet and kind. No, I'm sorry. It just doesn't. I'm tired. You think Amy Klobuchar with her corny jokes is the person to get out there and beat this fascist in the White House? You think Pete Buttigieg with his Obama speak and his very fashionable suits? I swear on everything. Like, if I'll take anything from Pete Buttigieg, it's his tailor. But do you think those things are qualified to go up against the monster in the White House? Elizabeth Warren, I would love to have been able to support you, but I can't, because I'm sorry, you just don't have what it takes to fight this man. And anyone who's calling for Nancy Pelosi tearing up his State of the Union. Oh my God, that was such a powerful moment. Ooh, that's not taking on fascism. Get the hell out of here. There's not a person on the stage right now that's running for president that's able to take on Donald Trump and has the army, the progressive army of people behind him who will take it to the voting booth or will take it to the streets. Which one you want? We can win this in the voting booth, or if you make us, we'll win it in the streets. Who do you want fighting for you? God damn it, give me the progressive army. I'm sorry, y'all, but I'm done. That's it.
The Benjamin Dixon Show is only possible with listener support. go to www.patreon.com/The BPD Show and support The Benjamin Dixon Show. If you like this episode, be sure to share, like, and subscribe.
Progressive Army, baby. Bernie's Roughnecks.